So BCG framework, guys, is very, very popular. I am assuming that you guys might have even heard of the framework. Maybe you might not be aware what it is. So BCG Matrix was actually ideated and launched in 1960s. So it's actually a very, very old framework. And at that point of time, BCG Matrix was solving one very major problem. So a lot of businesses, especially the large ones, conglomerates, have a lot of products and brands that they have built, right? PNG has multiple brands. Nestle has multiple brands, right? So many conglomerates which have multiple products that they can invest into. For that matter, Apple has multiple brands. They have iPod, they have iMac, they have MacBook, they have Mac Pro, they have AirPods, they had iPods, right? So very, very long list of product segments that these big brands could actually be investing into. Now, the question that they have to answer literally every single year is how much should they be investing in all of these products, right? What is the kind of percentage investment that they should be making in a MacBook as against an iPhone, as against an iPad, as against an iPhone, so on and so forth. And that decision making needs to be, with a certain kind of logic. Like Utkarsh, if he is the CEO of Apple, he can't just come and say that, you know what, my gut feeling suggests that we should spend 30% on iPhones and 25% on iPads. We can't do that, right? There needs to be some kind of mechanism, some kind of way through which we are actually making a decision. And BCG Matrix allows us to make these decisions with a proper logic. Now, it's very, very easy to understand the BCG Matrix because, again, it has only two segments, right? First is the relative market share and the second is the market growth. So basically, all of our decision makings that is being done through the BCG matrix is dependent upon these two factors. When I'm talking about the market growth, I'm talking about how is the total market of that particular product growing. For example, in case of Apple, how fast is the market for, say, tablets growing, right? Or which is exactly is going to be a determinant for how much should they be investing in iPads. Or what is the kind of market growth for music players, which would be a determinant for players like or products like iPods. Make sense? When we're talking about a relative market share, we're talking about how well are these products doing relatively to the other products for the same brand in the market. For example, we know that iPhone has a very large market share on a global level, right? And on the other hand, iPhone also generates maximum amount of revenue and profits for Apple as a product, right? The same might not be the case for an iPad, or the case might be very different for say MacBook Pro as an individual product. So whenever we have to make a decision, we have to group or categorize these individual products as per the market growth of that particular product's market and the relative market share of that particular product as compared to the other products that are being offered by that particular brand. Okay, so let's talk about iPhone. Do you think that iPhone has a large relative market share? Yes. Is the market for phones still growing globally? Very fast. So automatically I can put iPhone in which category out of these four? Star category. Is everyone able to understand why is it star? Because we are going from less market growth to high market growth, and we are going from down to up. And when we are talking about market share, we are moving from left to from right to left. If the market share is less, then we are on the right. If the market share is high, we are on the left. So iPhone has a high market share. Therefore, it is going to be either star category or cash cow. And the market growth for iPhones also, or for phones in general, also remains high. So it can't be cash cow. It has to be star. So iPods, when they got started in the early days, Sony Walkman as a product was doing very well. But the market share of iPods in the early days was not very high because it was a new product for Apple, right? So basically, we're talking about a product where the market growth is very high, but the relative market share is not very high. So considering the relative market share is not high, it is going to be either dog category or question mark category. But considering that the market growth is high, it's going to be the question mark category. So when Apple initially launched iPods, it was in the question mark category, in the sense that that Apple itself was not 100% confident that it's going to explode. So it was a high risk, but high incentive category to invest in. And of course, we saw that it worked out really, really well for Apple. Right? And when it started to work out for Apple, it became a star category product. But eventually what happened? A lot of people started listening to music on their phones only. So they realized that there is no need for another device which is only capable of, say, playing music, but can't make calls. So eventually it became a cash cow product for Apple. Why? Because the market growth reduced, but the relative market share for Apple iPods remained high. Right? So now obviously there are also products which don't have a very high market growth. At the same time, they don't have very high market share. These are the dog category products. So according to BCG Matrix, it gives you an advice as to how much you should be investing in your products depending upon where they're placed in the BCG Matrix. In case your product is a star category product, you should be investing maximum into star category products. Because why? They're also growing very fast and you already have a very large share in them. Right? Similarly, in case we are talking about a product which is having a very high market growth, but the market share is currently low, you should invest with caution, because it could either become a star category product at a later stage, or it could also turn out into a dog category product. So you need to be careful, but you should still invest, but with caution. On the other hand, if your product is a cash cow category product where the market share is very high, but the market growth is now less, you should invest enough to maintain the market share. But this should not be your biggest investment. Right? And of course, the dog category products need to be deprioritized the most. The brand should not be investing a lot of money into products which don't have a high market share or a high market growth.